Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, Kristin Mason, to the show. She's the owner of Farm-Based Counseling Services at Reining Hope Counseling Services, based out of beautiful Morgan, Vermont. Got about 1.5 feet of snow right now, but she still joins us here live today on the podcast and Zoomcast to talk more about, well, her love of animals, her passion with animals, and, you know, how these animals, especially the horses in particular, are helping so many children and adults. So she's been working with horses and their humans, like, I think since 90 something, right?
Yeah, actually probably about 95. I mean, before that too, but like I would say like officially in 95 is when I actually started teaching some lessons and doing some therapeutic writing before I was even certified or knew that there was even a certification for it. So, yeah, it's amazing how like nature and animals can really change a person's life. I think that for me, I started late in life and I really didn't get my own horse until I was about 28, which probably I was able to be responsible at that point in time. I hope. And then, it just kind of like blossomed from there. And, my life just led me in all kinds of different directions, but it seemed to keep drawing me back to the animals. So I'm very fortunate to, like you said, have a beautiful spot in Vermont. And yes, the weather sometimes is tough, but it could obviously definitely be worse, So we can deal with the snow for however many months.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here again. In order to contact you, let's remind everyone it's ReiningHopeCounselingServices.com, and Rein as in Reins, Reining, HopeCounselingServices.com. Did you want to share a phone number or any other information before we get started?
Yeah, people can reach me. They can either call the barn number, have an answering machine, 802-895-9166, or email me at KRIS12 M as in Mary, ASE at gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. For today, we're going to talk a little about what it's like to work with animals, and we'll talk about some of their healing modalities, the stress relief, and so on and so forth. Clearly, you're an expert in this field. And, where did you want to begin in talking about these amazing creatures?
Well, I think there was, I guess, some requests for a discussion of working with animals and how they can provide either or stress relief, emotional support, offer some responsibility, and some routine to some folks. So as far as stress relief, I mean, I think anytime anybody has an animal near them, especially people that love animals, again, this is like not for everybody in every situation, but for me, and I think, did you say you have cats?
I got 2 and 3. I'm sorry, and then they just had babies, so I have 6.
Oh my goodness,
we're cat lovers.
Doesn't your blood pressure like go down when they're sitting in your lap and they just pop when you need them?
I had the 3 kittens, 6 weeks old, in my bed last night with my 2 kids, and they just laid down and fell asleep with them. They're still with their mom in the other room, but the mom trusts us, and it's like, how am I going to let them go? I don't think I'm going to. I just love them.
This is why I cannot breed animals.
I'm like the litter. I'm like, and the mess. But I'm like, but I love them. And then I have the daddy cat in diapers right now because he's spraying, and I'm like, he's in diapers. I'm changing diapers all the time. So yeah,
I get it.
I got to get him fixed, and I will eventually. But go ahead.
No, I get it. And like my boyfriend said to me one time, I said, well, why don't we, breed one of the mares and whatever? He's like, no, because you will not be able to let him go. And you know what? He's probably right. So we do not do breeding, but I do know that like when I get home from a long day of work, and even with my dogs and my cat, I had to recently put down the brother of the cat that we have. We had 2 brothers, and yeah, I know, it was so sad. And so, because they're getting older, but now the one that's left will just pop into your lap. Like, it's almost like they're saying, you need to sit down, you need to take a break. just stroke me and relax and, everything. Like I literally forget what's going on for the rest of the day. I literally like if I'm stressed out, I forget what I'm stressed out about, to be honest, or I go out and feed. And it kind of goes into like a little bit. I think the stress relief, the emotional support, and the responsibility and routine kind of actually overlap a little bit because you get the stress relief, but you're also responsible for them, right? You have to feed them. It makes you get out of bed. It makes you, you know, have a purpose to get up in the morning. And that's what it's been for me. And it also, I think a lot for my clients that have worked with my animals and or have been here on the farm. Even not even my clients, but I've had teenagers have started when they're younger helping out here. And, they may have a full week of classes, a full week of school, but they still show up. They still show up here and they get into a routine. And now, like I said last week, the student has become the teacher. And it's amazing to see the transformation.
Oh, I love this. I love this. By the way, how many horses do you have? I just want to fill everyone in. I know you have a lot of animals there, but in
There
particular.
are there are 10 total, eight of which are mine. I have two of my friends they're boarding their horses here right now.
Oh my goodness. And how much property do you have?
My parents had bought 38.2 acres is what it's like a loop too. It's like if you walk the road around the property, it's about a mile around. So it's really nice because we can go trail riding right here and we have wonderful neighbors that let us trail ride on their property and everything. It's a dirt road still, so we're rural and it's really nice because there's a little bit of traffic in the summertime and stuff, but people are pretty respectful of us and the horses, and we have signs up and everything. So, you just wear your orange and be cautious. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's really nice because we have pastures. And so a lot of the horses go out with pasture mates. So they have buddies. If I knew I could trust them all to get along, I'd probably just open it all up and they could all be wild together. But,
Yeah.
you know, that doesn't always work out.
No, I get it. I get it. That's amazing, though. And I know same with my cat. The one that's fixed, that was the friend with the mom first. And if she hisses at the male cat, she's territorial. And yeah, you gotta watch. You keep trying to make them friends, but maybe once the other one's fixed, you'd get along better with the other one that we adopted. That's half blind, but yeah, the passion. There's something about them. I mean, what is these animals have these spirits, and it's a gift, and it's a soul
Hmm.
just like ours. And
Hmm.
I believe in like reincarnation, and I feel like they come back, and I feel like people could come back as animals. They're just, I don't know, they seem even kinder than people. Is that rude to say? But maybe
It's okay to say,
maybe their soul
honestly.
has
I
been
mean,
processed more or whatever happens, but I feel like they're more reliable on us. They're more trusting of us, most that haven't been abused or, harm. And
right.
what they give is that big smile on your face and my face when we talk about animals. And I mean, studies have shown it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert. You probably know way more on this than I do, but the benefits of how they're helping us relieve stress and, even children with disabilities, right? How that's,
Hmm.
helping them. And you also are helping people that, are on substance abuse, right? Who've had PTSD, trauma.
Yep.
And so share a little more of this, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, going back to what you were saying about, the reincarnation thing, and I do believe in that too. And, some don't, and that's fine. It's okay. Interestingly, the cat that is left, the brother, um, has mellowed out. And the other cat was very mellow. Just a sidebar on that one, and it was like I was like, you know, he doesn't get after the dogs anymore. And the dogs knew that the other cat was very friendly versus this cat who whacked him when they were young and, established like, okay, I'm the boss. Dozer's his name. And I've very much noticed that he has, since his brother has gone, has really mellowed out and he does not go after the dogs. And I'm like, this is really, it makes
Yeah.
you really think and really kind of reflect on like, and what you were saying about, animals are literally probably better than most humans, even probably even including me. But I think it's because they offer unconditional love. And even if they have been abused, depending on the situation, like they are willing to trust, as long as they know that the person that's with them is not going to hurt them, that they're being fed, that they're, but it takes a while to build that trust. And it's just like people too. I mean, when you were talking about trauma and, people that have been sexually abused, doesn't matter if it's male or female, there's a lot of trust that has to be built with other humans in order to move on past that because, and especially we talk a lot because I work a lot with children and families about the developmental stages, right? And how depending on where you're at in your developmental stage and where the trauma happens, it can make a huge difference in how you get through it, right? And also early intervention. So when and because animals are they offer unconditional love, like they have no judgment, they have no expectations. And I think that's why, especially like with PTSD and even substance abuse and trauma, when people come here and they meet the animal, they may be very skittish at first, but they often will say, I'm afraid, but the animal's not running away from me. You know, they're waiting. They may be cautious, but they don't run away. They may sniff the person. They may approach and just wait, but they often wait until the person is ready. So that's
Yeah.
another, but they don't realize what's going on until they're here for, a time and they get to know a certain animal. A lot of times the animal would pick the human too.
Oh,
I think I might have said this a long time ago when we first started, but when I was full time doing the therapeutic riding piece, I would have in my head like what horse I figured would hook up and be a good partner for a certain person, a kid. And we would go to the paddock and I'd be like, okay, let's go get like Amber, one of my horses. Or no, it was Allegro at that point. There was an actual several whatever occasions where this would
got it.
happen.
I was
So
confused too. I'm like,
yeah,
incidents,
you
occasions. We
know,
got it.
not
Go
incident,
ahead.
but occasions. And Allegro and Reddy and Amber are all in the same paddock together. And so I'm like, oh, Allegro would work really well. So Allegro came down, but he automatically came down, but then he left.
Wow.
And so right behind him, Amber came down and she didn't go anywhere. So I'm like, well, we really have to listen to this situation because I really think that you need Amber right now. And so we brought her in, and it was the most wonderful experience that this child had in the moment for that day. I mean, every day is different, but it was remarkable. And, it's not that things would have gone bad with Allegro, but I have to listen to
Yeah.
which horse is there because that is what's supposed to be.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you so much. I love hearing all this and talking to you. And, I love that a few weeks ago, if you missed it, we were in the barn. Did you happen to post the video up anywhere on your site or
Haven't
social media?
yet, but a couple of my friends have seen it and stuff. So
Good.
yeah, I'll have to get it. I have to figure out how to put it on my website. I am not tech savvy. I think I said
I'm
that a
not.
long
I
time
do.
ago
I do
too,
like
but
social media, but I websites
terrible.
I can't. It's okay. But let me just at this time tell everyone all the ways we can reach out to you, please.
You can call me 802-895-9166, or you can reach out via email at KRIS number 12 MASE@gmail.com.
All right, great. And do you want to elaborate a little bit more on the specific services you provide? Because I know you also are Reiki energy healer. You have a lot of different credentials, and you're helping so many different types of people.
I do. I actually have been, well, I do alternative therapy. So I
Hmm.
use essential oils and, like you said, the Reiki. I also use pendulums for chakra work. And it really depends on, who's available. I do it mostly on the animals, and I've worked with with horses that have their own humans, like
Yeah.
like my boarding horses or people that have come in for clinics. I've offered clinics here in the past, and I actually am going to move more toward getting back to healing the horses, but working with some of my kids maybe to help heal horses. So the I'm still going to do counseling and everything, but I miss my horses. I miss being with them more often because I have a full-time job at a local human services agency where I do work with children and families as well. But I miss that piece of it, and it kind of went to the wayside during COVID when I had to like everybody did, had to change their business dynamics. But what's really calling to me is getting back. I'm a trigger point myotherapist as well, which means it's a combination of like massage and acupressure and energy balancing. So it's like a combination of a whole holistic piece. And I really want to get back to helping heal some horses, and that people aren't maybe able to do on their own. Not necessarily like rescue, but like say there's a competitor that has a horse that maybe has been lame and they just can't get the horse ready for competition again. So I want to take the time to help them kind of do some alternative healing practices in conjunction with whatever their veterinarian is offering, and get back to that. But doing that and working with my kids so that they can also learn, I think that'll be huge, and maybe help a whole new generation work with animals.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. And, you've been doing this for quite some time and you shared some amazing experiences of your animals. I've seen it, witnessed it. And, since I've spoken to you, it's been a few weeks, right? Anything new happening over there at the barn with your animals, with your clients that you maybe wanted to share?
Um, well, like I said, I mean, it was a very huge, not necessarily an aha moment, but I'd seen this one girl grow and grow and grow, and she really, like, I was watching her one day, and she was literally teaching an adult how to. I think they were doing, what were they doing? I think they were doing either the feeding or well, there's a couple different things they were doing. She was basically showing this adult the ropes and how she goes about her day and why she does it. And she was using hows, whats, and whys. And she's been here 7 years, and she's now, I think she just turned 17. And it's amazing. She wouldn't like hardly talk to anybody when she first got here. And it's like she really has become the teacher, and she's doing it in a correct way, but she also has a sixth sense about horses that is amazing, and she wants to go into the field. As far as my kiddos, I've had a couple situations where they've really started opening up more and just being around the horses. I find that when they're grooming, they'll talk more to me. It's amazing. And they'll start asking questions, but then it leads to like they may ask questions about the horses, but then it can relate to their everyday life, like um oh, this horse seems sore here, and what has he been doing? And so I'm like, okay, well, they've been in, so I've had to let him out in the arena, but they haven't been able to get out full time into the, outdoors because it's been minus 18 degrees. So how do you feel when you're cooped up, and you can't get outside
Yeah.
and do, so there's a lot that you can relate.
Hello, hello. Did you hear me? Hello, my key's sticking. Hello? Did you hear me say
I
yeah,
can
yeah,
hear
like
you.
three
Yeah,
times or it just came out once?
you're good.
Oh, and let me just ask just an odd question again for someone who's never had horses. And you're doing now all the upkeep yourself as well, or do you have staff and help there at the barn?
I have, well, volunteers. My mom, who's
Oh,
82, she comes down every single morning. She loves it. Well, I say she loves it. Some days she probably doesn't love it, but she loves the fact that dogs meet her at the door. And if I'm at work, my full-time job, she'll come down in the middle of the day, let the dogs out. And, I keep telling her, it's okay, if you can't do certain things, it's whatever. And then on the weekends, I have girls. Summertime, I usually have a little bit more help, and my boyfriend helps at night, like he'll bring horses in. So, and really, I have the full-time job just to horses are very expensive, and anybody that's
Ah,
listening will probably know that. So you kind of have to manage, if you can't do it full time, then you have to kind of adjust. And most everybody either has a part-time job or a full-time job, and they do this on the side, unless they're doing breeding or training and stuff like that. So for what I do, I have to kind of diversify a little bit.
yeah.
Um, and and it works, but I also appreciate the help that I get. I also have some neighbors that like to come down and volunteer because they love horses and they've gotten to learn a lot about them. So I really am fortunate where I am and who I have there to jump in if I need help.
Beautiful. That is so sweet. Wow. And
Mhm.
what is the life expectancy of a horse? Just curious.
So, um, way back when, so the oldest horse that I know was a horse that was at a farm where I first started taking jumping lessons. Actually, it was a trainer that had taught me a lot. And it was where I had my first horse. I had two horses from her that taught me different things. But that horse was a broodmare and Petrushka, and she lived to be 44. And my Morgan Wheaties that I got from a friend in Connecticut who came up with another horse that was at High Hopes Therapeutic Riding Night. So Wheaties and Night came up from Connecticut together. And they were the ones I think I have told you about where they were bonded. Like they got on the trailer up the 6 hour drive and they never could be separated after that. And Wheaties was 40 and Night was, no, wait a minute, 30, no, 34. Wheaties was 34 and Night was going to be 30. And I put them down at the same time because they would have never survived. By Night was the one that
Oh
actually
my
got
God.
sick.
That
Yeah,
is
I
so
know.
sad,
And so
but
they're in the same
beautiful.
grave.
Oh,
They're in the same grave together. We have all of our horses. I've got my two originals are under our apple tree, and then I've got I think there's six of them that are all, and they have markers with big boulders that are
oh
marking where
my
their heads
God.
are. Yeah, and it's very hard to obviously put an animal. I mean, I worked as a vet tech for 30 years, and I
Yeah.
was there for, I can't even tell you how many animals that had to be put to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I have to know that they're in that grave and they look like they're sleeping or running or something. So I stay until because I'm a very visual person and things stick in my head. So I have to know that they're good, and then I will let whoever's doing the burial um, finish it. But I have to know that and those two look like they're running together in the grave. So
Oh,
yeah, it's
beautiful.
very sweet.
I
It
know
really
it's
is
such a
sweet.
hard part
So
of life and death and everything, but it's all intertwined in us and in our world. And grief in general. That's something I'm sure you're helping people with, right? And loss of a significant loved one, a human. Sometimes an animal can help.
right.
Really that bond between a horse, between a dog, a cat, maybe even a hamster. I don't know, but some people,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
an iguana.
Yeah, fish. I know.
But the
Yeah, it
beauty
really
of
is.
pets in general overall is it's just amazing what it does to the soul. And,
Yeah.
that's an overall theme here of what, you're getting across. And you're clearly in the business of helping so many people. And my heart goes out to those children who must really come
Yeah,
and love those animals. And I know, like the
they
one
do.
time we were on camera, you showed me how sometimes you bring a child or an adult to the barn, and you kind of let that animal choose let the animal choose the person because you don't know which animal would be best to work with that, and then it's so beautiful to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And I mean, there's so much that you can relate when you're working with animals to your human life. That's what's the other, I'm getting goosebumps. I get goosebumps when I'm like talking about things that I'm super passionate
Hmm.
about. Um, but it's amazing how much parallels with human life and animal life. And I mean, I wish the world would really take a close look at animals and how they, kind of get
Yeah.
along and how they manage and how they, really respect each other for the most part.
Yeah.
because I think we could all learn a big lesson from that. And I love that the fact that kids are so inquisitive and they're like little sponges and they just learn so much. I think that's why I love working with kids. And I think parents learn a lot from their children when they stop and learn and listen too. So it's just an amazing thing overall. But, you know, and having animals really does offer some responsibility for children. I mean, when parents used to ask, well, is my daughter or son ready for a horse or whatever? I'm like, you know what? You really need to like lease one first because you got to make sure that they're going to be wanting to do it. You don't want to just go out and buy an animal without first test driving, right?
Yep, true.
And making sure because you're going to be the ones that are responsible. And you can't, when you bring an animal into your life, you're totally responsible. Just like a child, you're totally responsible for them.
Well, thank you so much for being here, for joining us. What an emotional show. Who thought we'd be crying? But that's what animals do to us. And the soul, that just, such a beautiful thing. If we want to reach out to you, Kristin, tell us how we do so.
You can call me at 802-895-9166 or email me at kris12mase@gmail.com. And I think we're going to do this in another couple weeks. And I think open the phone lines at some point, I believe.
Oh, awesome. We could take some callers. That'd be wonderful. That'd be so amazing because I'm sure people have questions like I do, and they maybe have some now. You could always email her or call her and just ask. But yeah, awesome. Good idea. Thank you so much, Kristin, for being here, and looking forward to the next time we connect. Thanks so much for today.
Thank you. Great
Stay
to see
warm. You too.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.